Welcome to Malcolm Reed's How to Barbecue Right, a podcast where we talk about barbecue, share recipes, and discuss all things delicious. And now, here's your host, Malcolm and Rochelle Reed.
Mal, let me tell you about Schwank Grills. It's a portable 1,500-degree cooking machine. It uses infrared heat, which is perfect for cooking steaks to perfection in 3 minutes. Only 3 minutes.
That's fast.
You can cook just about anything from steak, lobster, even pizza with the accessories that Schwank has. And we're also giving our listeners $150 off Schwank Grills. In the description, there'll be a link, and use the coupon code HowToBBQRight.
Y'all go check out schwankgrills.com. All right, welcome to the How to Barbecue Right podcast. I'm your host, Malcolm Reed, joined by my lovely, talented wife, Miss Southern Shell, right across from him. We got Jacob over on the board because Tyler went to the West Coast today, didn't he?
Yeah.
You think he made it?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Like, we have one kid, and we traveled with Michael when he was a little some. Can you imagine taking 3 under 5 on an airplane to where he's going to L.A. pretty much? That would be a nightmare, man.
I don't know. Tyler's got it down pretty good.
He straps one to him, and he pushes 2 usually on a stroller. I've seen him out in public doing it. So he's got it down.
He manages better than we
I don't
did.
think the problem is not getting kids to the airport, getting them checked in through the airport and on the plane.
Oh,
That's not the problem.
I didn't even think about
The
going
problem
to
is
TSA.
the 3 hours in the air.
Yeah.
When you've got all these people crammed in one big metal box, and then you've got kids that you got to deal with and hope you keep them entertained.
I get it.
I just know how it would go with Michael. He would want to go to the bathroom every 5, just a reason to get up. Need to go up front. I know how it goes. We had a thing when we had him, it was like we just refused to go anywhere. Remember, we couldn't go to restaurants no more. It never failed. As soon as you got to a restaurant, sit down, order your dinner, and the dinner was coming, I got to go poop. That's what he would say every time. And I was like, what do you wait to go to the bathroom? And then he just wanted to hang out in the bathroom. And I remember you coming out, and I'd be through eating. Like, what are y'all doing? He's just in there swinging his feet. He's going to hate me for saying that on the podcast. He was little, though. I don't think he still does that at 14.
All right. Let me tell you about some upcoming dates we have.
Well, what do we got coming up?
We're going to Mitten Barbecue Supply in Grand Rapids on July 13th.
July 13th.
They're having a big event. There's going to be samples, demos, all kinds of stuff coming. So if you're in the Grand Rapids area, July 13th, we'll be at Mitten Barbecue Supply.
That's going to be fun. You know what? The weather in Michigan's a little cooler than Mississippi in July.
I think it is.
Got a feeling it's going to be a little cooler.
At least less humidity.
You know, Mark went up there last weekend to, I don't know what town. It was in Michigan somewhere. It was north of, it was kind of on the western side of the state down south of Michigan. And they had an IBCA cook-off.
Yeah, he
went up there with
Reserve
Outlaw.
Grand.
Yeah, he did. He did really good first IBCA cook-off. But he said, like, the temps, it got down to like in the 30s at night. He said they did not prepare to take it. Because, I mean, it's already warm here.
Yeah.
Like everybody's shorts,
full-time
flip-flops,
spring, yeah.
T-shirts. It's summertime. Spring's gone, baby. But he went up there and he said they got a shocker. It was still pretty daggum cold. He said they had to take a fire pit or a firebox out of a drum smoker and use that as a fire pit to stay warm.
Just to hang out at night.
Yeah.
We also have a burger contest happening at the shop in Hernando, Mississippi.
That one filled up quick.
Yeah.
20 teams coming to vie for the best burger in Hernando.
Yeah. There's no more spots available to cook the burger contest. But if you'd like to come out, hang out.
I'll give you a burger.
Well, I'm kind of looking forward to this one because Austin and Mikey really took the reins on the organizing and the planning and getting the judges and all that. Our job is to cook burgers and pass it out to the public. That's the only thing we're doing.
You want to come eat a burger with us? Come on.
I think
we're having a big time that day.
Yeah.
What does that run from? It's like 10 to 2 maybe?
Yeah.
10 to
Midday.
2 on, what's the date?
June 15th.
That's coming up. That's a month.
Less than, probably.
Yeah, it's today, the 6th, 15th, 16th?
16th.
Yeah.
So, if you're in the Hernando area on June 15th, swing by and get you a free burger for lunch.
And come by and check out what everybody's cooking.
And then there might be an event where we're going to be in Oxford at the Circle and Square Brewery.
Ooh, when's that?
July 27th.
Y'all put that on the calendar.
If you're in the Oxford area.
You come down, cold brew, barbecue. What goes better? Circle and Square Brewery. It's a new kind of microbrewery down in Oxford, pretty close to, well, it's 1 mile from, is it 1 mile from the square, 1 mile from the stadium or circle? That's why it's called Circle and Square. It's a pretty cool place. We went and checked it out. We went down for a concert here about last month.
Yeah.
Hung out, had their beer's good. It's
Their
cold.
beer's really good.
Their beer's really good.
I don't really like microbrew, craft beer, but it
had some good stuff.
Yeah, it was really good. And you are nominated for the Barbecue Hall of Fame again.
Yeah. Did I mention that last week? I can't remember.
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah. That's an honor. It's always an honor. I got nominated last year. I was like, there ain't no way. And then I saw it this year and I was like, well, I ain't get my hopes up, folks, because there's a lot of good names on that list that probably deserve it way more than I do, because I just do it.
You have
fun,
a different,
man.
Yeah, you have a different attitude about it than I do.
Yeah.
You feel like you're not deserving.
Well, do you feel like I am?
Heck yeah. I was mad they didn't let you in last year.
I don't like your stuff. I don't get that way.
Yeah, I know.
You do, you do. If you don't, you don't.
I would be different if it was about me. You know, like something, Decorator Hall of Fame or something.
It would be cool to get to go out there and go through the little ceremony thing they do, the awards banquet.
Well,
it's in Kansas City, usually around the Royal, the week of or something. Good reason to go to the Royal.
And cook it.
You never know.
Oh, gosh. So this week you did pork belly chicharrones. Say that.
Chicharrons. I don't know I really don't know. I'm not Spanish at all.
No.
In fact, I'm the big grande gringo. So I don't speak and I don't translate it very well, but I call it chicharrones. I don't know how you say it, but all it is it's pork belly that's been rendered some and then fried crispy. And if you have never tried it, I'm telling you, better run to your nearest grocery store, get you a piece of pork belly, take it home, cut it up, and get it cooking. Let me tell you how I cooked it.
Well,
it's not the traditional way at all.
I wanted to talk about pork belly first. Like
okay.
How it used to be very difficult to find.
Oh, you never saw it. You never saw it.
When we wanted to cook it the first time you wanted to do a recipe with it, we had to go to Restaurant Depot.
Yep, I did.
We had to get like a special day pass or something. Because back in the day, KCBS would give you a day pass to Restaurant Depot.
As long as you had your KCBS membership. Yep. You could get in.
But
we used it a lot. I mean, that's where they had some pretty good stuff there.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, they do have. It's just so far out there.
I know.
All the way across Memphis.
It takes us over an hour to get there. But anyway, now they're a little more easy to find, would you say? Yeah,
because Kroger, Walmart, I mean, I see them just about every grocery store. Sam's, just Costco has them. I mean, and so it's the difference in that one's like when you go to Restaurant Depot and buy one, it's the whole slab of pork belly. It's huge. Probably weighs 10 pounds or more. Now you can find them in the grocery stores. They're about a 4 or 5 pound piece. It's kind of that, I guess they divide it in half or they take the center portion and they do some other stuff with the other of it. But it looks like a slab of Wright's bacon that hadn't been cured or sliced. That's the size of this. So 3 to 4 pound.
Is it expensive?
Not really. I think it's about
pound?
$18 for a 5 pounder. So
that's not bad.
Less than 4. Yeah, that's not bad at all. So it's usually between $18, $20. Yeah, it's way cheaper than brisket. They come skin off, the ones I buy. If you do get a skin on one, you want to take that skin off of it. But most of them are skinned, and they're ready to cure, to cube up. If you want to make, pork belly burn ends with them, or however you want to cook it, that's how they're ready to go. So out of the package, there's really no trimming to these.
Why did you want to do the chicharrones?
Well, so I've seen it on like go to Mexican restaurants, seen it on menus. I've seen other people do videos on it, but I've never seen it done like on a pit. It's usually they'll take the pork belly and they'll cut it up into strips about like you're going to make pork belly burn ends, but just don't cube it. Leave it the whole strip. And they'll take them and they'll cook them down in some water. It's kind of like boiling it. They're trying to render that fat in the water, getting it softer, getting it cooked. Yeah. A lot of times you'll see them. You'll see put dry seasoning and then maybe herbs and stuff like that in the water, so where it's got some flavor. And then they cook it like that. And once it's pretty much done, it's still got a lot of fat to it. It's not taken all the way like for barbecue or for pork belly burn in or anything that far. And if I had to guess, probably about 175, 180 is what internal temperature it would be at that point. It's still a lot of fat. And then they take it and put it in some oil at a lower temperature and fry it. And so it's getting crispy. And so the texture is you've got some lean meat in there. You've got a lot of crispy, delicious fat. and it's real crunchy. I mean, and so it's pretty good. It reminds me a lot of crackling like you would get down in Louisiana at a convenience store or one of those, boudin shops. It's a lot like that, except those are usually cut up into little bitty cubes, like smaller than a pork belly burn-in piece. And they're fried really hard. Like sometimes they'll break your jaw or something.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like that, but it's more meaty and it's real crispy. And it's, man, if you have never tried it, it is fantastic.
So how'd you do it?
So what I did, I was like, well, how can I incorporate, I didn't know if it'd work or not. It's the first time I've ever done it. But I was like, how could I incorporate a smoker to get me some more flavor into that pork belly, still get it rendered, because you're just trying to cook the fat and get the lean meat cooked in it without drying it out, which it's hard to dry out pork belly. It's so much fat. So I thought, if I go ahead and cube it up, and I don't want to put too much seasoning on it because I want to put it in the grease at the end. I don't want to mess my grease up. So I was like, well, salt's not going to hurt. Or burn my grease, because of the, if there's any sugar in the seasoning you're using or whatever, that stuff can burn when you put it in hot oil like that.
But salt doesn't burn, right?
But salt really doesn't. And I didn't look super, super heavy with salt. I just used my salt grinder. I took that pork belly, laid it on the cutting board and cut it up into strips, just like I was going to make pork belly burn-ins. And then I took it and scored it just like I was going to cut it into a burn-in, but I didn't go very deep. I only went about a quarter, maybe a little more than a quarter inch. Just made a score line.
So what's the point of the scoring?
It's going to let some of that fat have a place to escape.
Okay.
And then as it cooks, it kind of opens up a little bit. So I figured it would get a little more seasoned or a little more crispy in there. When I fried it, it would kind of open up. And then when I did season at the very end, it would be places to get some more seasoning. So, I mean, I could have left it in just a big chunk, but I think I got better surface area, better place for fat to render by making those score lines in it. So once I scored it, I went back and I just salted it. I took my salt grinder and just went over the top, flipped it, went over the back, kind of made sure I had some on the edges, on each little strip. Then I put it on a little raised rack that I sprayed with Pam over a lined baking sheet. And I just set that whole thing on the pit, like 275. I used a pellet grill. You could use whatever you want. Mm-hmm. But my thinking on the pellet grills, it's moving so much air, it's going to help that fat as it renders get dry. So it might be a little crispier on there because of the airflow in that pit.
It won't be as moist.
It won't be as moist because you don't want a lot of moisture on it. Even though it's not water moisture, it's moisture coming out of the meats, fat renderings, all that. So that's not really going to mess your grease up too much anyway. But you could like paper towel it off at that point. And so what I did, I checked it at about 2 hours. It was looking good. It turned golden brown, a lot like, hog skin does that you just put on a pit that we don't do anything to.
It was a light.
You start getting that light tan, golden kind of color. And I wanted it, some of the pieces, like one of them I cut kind of thin, so it kind of went to like 180. It was a little hotter than I thought it would be. But the other ones some of them were like 165, some of them were like 170. So I said 30 minutes, it's probably going to be where I want it. Because like I said, I didn't know. I've never done this. But I knew that, fat starts rendering at that point. When it gets up to about 180, So
that's your goal?
Yeah, 180-ish. And then I took it off the pit. By the time I fired up my grease, and I had peanut oil in a deep fryer.
Why peanut oil?
I just like the flavor of
Me
peanut
too.
oil. I think it gets things, when you're frying in it, it doesn't burn as fast. It has a higher smoke point. It gives you really good flavor on stuff. And,
much better flavor, I think.
I just buy the big jug at Sam's.
It ain't cheap.
No, it's not cheap, but I get a lot of cooks out of it, especially if you kind of watch what you put in it. But so once that oil got to about 350, I didn't want it you don't want it 400. You're not trying to fry French fries. You want just a good slow fry on it. So about 350 is hot enough. And I think when they really do chicharrones, they keep that second fry more like 325. It's lower because they're not just trying to flash hard fry it right fast. Because a lot of times there's still some lean meat, and you want to get it soft. You want it soft but crunchy, if that makes sense. You want the lean part of that belly. You want it to be melted in your mouth. You don't want it to be real chewy. So it needs to go up a little bit, but it doesn't need to go to like 200, like shreddable. It'd be too. It'd probably fall apart, I guess. I don't know. I've never done it that far. Might be a way to experiment with it. Maybe somebody else could try it and take it up a little further. But
I don't know. I thought it was perfect texture.
Yeah. But all I did was take those strips, and in my basket, I could get 2 strips at a time in each basket. So I dropped them, and I just started watching them, and they're kind of floating around, and I'm trying to make sure they get even cooked, but no matter how I flipped it, they flipped right back over. So you just got to play with it. It only takes 2 to 3 minutes, but So whenever I do something fried that I want really crispy, I do a double fry. I mean, it's classic French fry technique. You fry them once, take them out. A lot of times that's at a lower temp. And you fry them out, then you blast them at the end to get them really crispy. It browns them up. It gets them really crispy. It does this for
that
pork belly.
Work? Like, how does that process work? Why is the double fry effective?
I don't know. I never looked at the research of why to do it. I just know, like, when they're doing a double fry on fries, a lot of times it's because they're using a slower fry to get the frozen French fry done, or the potato done.
Yeah.
And then they take it out, let it cool down just a little bit, and then you fry it at a little bit higher temperature fast, and it just crisp up the outside. You're not cooking the inside of it anymore. And so that was kind of the technique I was doing, except I didn't adjust my temperatures. I let it go. I turned my gas down to where it just hang around 350. But it's so fast that I don't think it would really matter if that oil would have been 375, 400 at that point. I didn't want it. I did notice that the longer you leave it in there, the darker it's going to get on you. So that was one reason why I was like, well, I'll double fry them, because they're starting to get a little browner than I want. So I took them out and just let them sit there and strain a little bit. I moved them over to moved them back to the rack, and fried my other round because it wasn't too much for one fry. And then at the end, I just kind of put some in one basket and some in the other and double fried all of them at the same time. And they were only down for maybe a minute and a half. I don't even think it was 2 minutes. But 2 minutes would be plenty long enough. But you just really want to crisp up that outside. And then when you take them out and they still got some of that hot grease popping on them and they're crackling, that's when you season them. So what I did was I just kind of had some gloves on, picked them up, seasoned them with gringo on all sides, and put them back on that rack. Then let them cool off a little bit, because these jokers are hot. I don't know what internal temperature, but I would guess they're probably close to 200 at that point internal. I didn't temp them, but
you had the gloves on that you used to pull pork and work with hot meats and.
Oh yeah, my blisters on my thumbs. Fine. That wasn't even from that. That was from pulled pork. They finally healed up. But you take those to the cutting board, and then you've got this strip.
And it's curled a little.
Yeah, it curls up. You got the score marks in it. And it's crunchy, man. So what I've seen, like, people just take it and dunk it in some avocado, guacamole or something like that. But I was like, man, why not make a taco with it? Take that, dude, and just slice it. I mean, really don't slice it. You kind of rough chop it. Yeah, just kind of hit it with your knife. You don't want it in, like, if you're going to put it on taco, you don't want big chunks. Now, you could go ahead and cube it and just make these little bitty crispy burnt. They're not burnt. They're not pork belly burnt ends at that point.
You just pop them in your mouth. And
chicharroni plugs or something. I don't even know what you call it. I need to come up with a name for that. Those were fantastic. Like, you can do pork belly burnt ends that way. Just cube them, season them with salt.
Yeah.
Render them, and then fry them, and you've got probably the best crack. And if you season with Cajun season, all of a sudden you got some crackling nuggies. But then you could season them with whatever seasoning you want. You could put barbecue rub on them. You could toss them in a sauce. Oh man, I see endless possibilities for how these things would be good. And there is no way that these things are good for you at all. It is so much crispy fat. Then you got the oil, and you got all the seasoning.
When you pop them in your mouth,
it's an indulgence.
Yeah,
by all means, an indulgence.
You get it crisp. It's crispy on the outside, like a French, and then it's a perfect French fry is a great way to describe it, like a thicker fry, because it's crispy on the outside and then soft on the inside.
It reminds me of
all fat.
It doesn't have bacon flavor because it hadn't been cured. Mm-hmm. But if you ever get that thin bacon that's got a lot of fat on it, and then they cook it really crispy.
My favorite
part. And it melts. It just kind of melts. The crispy part melts in your mouth, and then you got the lean part to chew. It has that texture in a cube, Or that was one. I didn't plan to do that. I didn't have that recipe on my list to do. I had just been looking at. I'd researched stuff, looking at ideas to cook for Cinco de Mayo, and I'd already had those ribs that I'd wanted, the birria ribs, however you say it. I can't never say it.
Which those are fire too.
Yeah, but so I really don't need this chicharroni recipe for that, but I still want to cook it because it sounds, and I was watching all these techniques on how people did it, and I was like, well, I can't find anybody doing it on a smoker that way, the way I was thinking about doing it. And so, I said, I'm just going to try it. We're going to record it. If it turns out, it turns out. And it was fire. It really was. It was that good. I don't know if you could tell in the video how good it was when I tried it, but I was blown away by how good that stuff was. And we had them. We put them in a Ziploc bag, cubed them up, put them in a Ziploc bag, and man, we ate on those things for a week. They were just as good cold out of the refrigerator.
You would pull that bag out, open the bag, and pop one of them in your mouth, and it was still crispy.
Still crispy.
And it was still tender,
Yep.
even though it's cold.
It was good. I'm a fan.
And you can really taste something when it gets cold, especially fried foods. It was so good.
I'm going to tell you.
It wasn't, it didn't have that bad fry flavor.
You heard it directly from me. These things are better than pork belly burn-ins.
I agree.
Way better.
I agree.
Way better.
Would you toss them in a wing sauce?
Yeah, absolutely you could. There's no reason.
You made a taco with it.
I made a taco. And it was just a simple taco. Warmed up some flour tortillas. You could use corn. A little smear of the guacamole. Couple strips, 3 or 4 strips of the chicharron, and then a little just red salsa over the top. Simple.
Lime juice and
a little lime juice.
Tapatía.
Is that what I used? Or Valentina?
Valentina, yeah.
You could put whatever you wanted on them, but they were, man, absolutely. If you got pork belly at your store, grab it and go home and try that. You could do it. I mean, you don't have to have a deep fryer to do it. You could fry it in like a Dutch oven or something. Just put some oil. So anything you can fry in, you can do it.
I mean, you can find one of those tabletop basket fryers at Walmart.
Fry Daddy.
$30-$40.
Cut them into smaller pieces if you don't have a basket big enough to do the strip. But just trust me. Render that fat, drop it in some hot oil, then season it and try it. Tell me if I'm wrong.
It's pretty simple.
It's very simple. You told me to write the recipe. I said, what recipe? It's pork belly, salt, render, fry, season.
That's pretty much it.
There's no recipe for that.
And everybody always asks how do you get crispy pork belly? How do you smoke it?
Absolutely. You could do it this way.
Have you ever gotten crispy skin on a hog?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Same way.
And it's good too. I mean, the Outlaw is the one that we've been getting the crispy skin on because what it does, we got the coals where we can put it up under it now in these hog pits. And so it's rendering out that skin, and that skin that we cook it meat up, so the hog's not flipped the whole time. So that skin is just making a crispy bowl. And when you take it off, it's like brittle. Like you could chew it like a chip. Not all of it. Some of it's still soggy or whatever. But where it's really good, where the heat's been right and it's rendered right and all that, meat's let go of the skin and the fat's rendered down, it gets crispy underneath it. And we oil and salt the skin. So
where'd you get that fryer?
Bayou Classic. It's a Bayou Classic. We had some of them, and we brought a few into sale at the shop.
I think we still have some.
But they're actually a Mississippi company, but you can order it online. So I had one of the cast iron or steel ones. It's like RV work, Cajun RV works, I think. And I had that for years. It's a fantastic fryer, but it gets messy and it takes it a minute to heat up. This Bayou Classic one's all stainless. It's lighter weight, and it seems like it heats up faster, and it doesn't get as nasty. Like, just greasy. You had to clean it as much, but I like both of them both of them are fine. I mean, if you got a smoker and a grill, you got to have a deep fryer outside, right?
Yeah, y'all use that deep fryer for catfish, pork rinds, homemade pork rinds.
They're so good. If you hadn't tried those, that's another one. Go to American Skins and buy you some. I don't know any other place that sells them, but it's pork rind pellets, and they're old fashioned. Like they have a website, but you can't order from the website. You actually got to call the lady at the office, give them your credit card, and they ship them to you. I think I get them in like a 25-pound box. It's enough pork rinds to feed an army.
It shows up in this big greasy box.
It's a box with a clear plastic bag of pork rind pellets,
and they're like hard. How would you describe it?
Dehydrated pork skin. That's all it is, and it's still greasy because I guess that's another one. They kind of do them like chicharrons. You know that they boil them to get all the meat off and to get them tender, and then they usually cut them in strips and then dehydrate them to dry them out. And that's why it becomes like, they're not putting them in grease and frying them any because that would pop them, but they're getting all the moisture out to where it's just really just a little plug of dehydrated skin. And I don't guess it's fat really. I think it's just skin is what they do.
You've never done a video on that.
I've never how to fry them. I don't know how to do. I've never done that.
No, I'm talking about just
how to make them.
Yeah, just getting the pellets and turning them into fresh.
You could do it.
Rinds.
So I think you could do it with cracklings, similar to that, by buying the skin on pork belly, and that's what makes that little tough part on that crackling. That's what they use. They cut pork belly into those and boil them down and then dehydrate them or start frying them. and it gets hard and crunchy, I guess. I've never watched how they did that, actually. I've done it with just like pieces of pork rendered down. I didn't even dehydrate or boil it.
Yeah, we did it on the stovetop,
Just put it on low heat.
Like we're boiling noodles.
Yeah, I mean, for real, it starts cooking out. The fat starts rendering, so whatever renders there is what fries what's remaining, and they get crunchy. But they don't pop. Like, you don't get that like pork rind. It's more of a crackling. It's meat, fat, and hardness. But it's good. I mean, I like chewing on them.
It didn't have the same flavor. Like, it's okay.
No, it's not like the chicharron.
No.
The chicharron is way better.
I was going to ask, do you think you have too much equipment?
Never. I'm looking for the next thing.
I just remember Heath was talking to you last week at Royal Oak, and he said, you still got that pit? You still got that hog?
Competitor?
Yeah, you still got the backwoods. You still got your Jambo?
Absolutely, I still got it, yeah.
You still got your old hog trailer?
I need to figure out something to do with Jolene. I don't want to sell her, but I need to do something with her.
Like what?
I don't know. Maybe a contest or something.
Give her away?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
What's Smokey the Cat going to sit on?
Have to get him a new Pride Rock.
Yeah, but
but definitely try chicharrones.
Yeah, definitely. They were fire. And they were pretty, I mean, like I said, they were easy.
It's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've started noticing that I feel like all your spaces are completely filled with smokers and grills and griddles and fryers.
I just got a new propane grill that I've just cooked on this past week. I had to move the Primo out of the way for a second to do a video with the propane grill.
What are you going to do with that propane grill now?
It cooks pretty dang good. I don't know. I'm not been like the Hank Hill, got to use propane all the time. I mean, I use propane for frying, and I've used it for other stuff, and I hadn't had a propane gas grill in a long time.
Yeah.
Probably 6-7 years. I mean, I had a Napoleon that I did some stuff on. Oh, we had a Weber that we got to do a video with. It was like a pellet grill steak versus a gas grill steak.
Oh, yeah,
we did that for Traeger back when I first started doing stuff with Traeger a little bit, and that was a Weber propane grill.
And you gave that to Firehouse or
the fireman.
Like that, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I donated that one. That's what I try to do with my extra stuff, is donate them or give them away to somebody.
Yeah, but you also like to collect them and not get rid of them.
Well, if they cook good, it's like, I really don't want to get rid of that one.
I'm going to do
that's why that backwood is still in the garage.
I'm going to do like a smoker grill count at the house.
Let's just say it's around 20.
It is not around 20.
I think it's closer to 40.
Yes.
It's around 20.
Are we counting all the competition pits and trailers and...
I didn't think about all that. Old hog pits are scattered around. And, yeah.
Old drum.
It's a lot.
So no need to clean out?
No.
Spring cleaning's not coming for your grills?
Nope. You don't get rid of your kids. Get rid of your grills.
This is the time of year most people start working on their outdoor kitchens and fixing up their decks. And you've used the Grilla Grills outdoor kitchen pieces.
I like them. It's a modular. It's an easier way to do an outdoor kitchen that looks really good. The fit and finish on this stuff's really good, and you can piece them together in all kinds of different configurations.
That's what I like about it.
What
you can buy a cabinet.
Downside to them is they're not cheap, but
they're
nothing
more
is
affordable than a lot of outdoor kitchens.
If you look at any of the modular outdoor kitchen stuff, it's just not cheap. I mean, money goes into building that stuff, and if you want a quality piece, it's not going to warp or mess up out in the outdoors. It's not going to rust. I mean, you want something that's made out of something good.
We got some in the shop.
Yeah, we do.
You want to come check?
Just check.
Out.
Yeah, they're not. Those aren't for sale. They're just for looks.
Yeah.
There's probably like a QR code you could go on there and scan if you're interested in buying one. But
there is.
I did want to have something where if people came by, they could see what I got at the smokehouse. And that's the quality of those cabinets. It's got a nice, like slate top to it that's really heavy. The metals, everything's, the fit and finish is good. The drawers work great. The doors work great. There's plenty of places for storage. You don't just have to set Grilla Grills in them. The way they've set them up, you could drop any kind of grill in there, and then they have just a flat one. Like if you want to, or you could cook with, you could put a Primo, you could put a ceramic grill in it. You can put it other pellet grills. As long as you can take it off its base and put it in there, it will go.
You could just
and then they have pieces that you don't even have to have the grill piece. You could just buy the different cabinets.
You could just buy, like, if you had a corner, you could buy just the corner piece and maybe, you know, a cabinet. Yep. And they have a sink piece.
If you need a sink, they got a sink option. They've got a beer fridge or a little small fridge. It's really cool.
I noticed that in the fridge down at the smokehouse this week, somebody put some Reese's Pieces beside the
Reese's peanut butter cups. There was like one Busch Light and a Reese's. That's like, that wouldn't be. Who's going to leave a Reese's behind?
Might have been
lucky it's still there. If I hadn't had to cook some other stuff yesterday, I probably would have ate it.
You just received a big package from Gamekeeper Butchery.
Yes, so I'm getting ready.
What is Gamekeeper Butchery, first off?
Mossy Oak. It's a Mississippi, probably one of the biggest names in camouflage,
probably
in the world. But they're from Mississippi. It's a Mississippi company out of West Point, Mississippi, and they have one side of their business is selling like wild game type meat. Now, none of this game is like hunters went out and, you know, it's all been processed and done to FDA.
You can't
sell game like that. But so I guess this would be like farm raised game. But they have a little bit of everything. Like, you need an alligator, go there. You can buy an alligator and they'll ship it right to you. But I really we've done really great with their bison ribeyes. They said the bison they have is unbelievable. Like, I bet I could cook one of their bison ribeyes and then cook a regular ribeye and you wouldn't be able to tell which one was which. I mean, they're that good. It's really, really good meat. So I got some bison this time. I always get elk, because elk is one of my favorite venisons to cook. And so I got some elk tomahawks and some like medallions and some chops. So I've got 3 different kinds of elk. And then I got some wild boar meat. I got some wild boar bacon, some chorizo, some brats. It was like a jalapeno and cheddar wild boar brat. I think that's about it, because I've got to go. So I'm going this weekend. I'm leaving and driving over to Texas. I don't know. It's out in the middle of nowhere, Texas. I think it's like south of Dallas somewhere, but we're going on a hog hunt. We're going over to get some content. There's some guys over there that have a ranch and they do some different stuff, and they're wanting to do some content with cooking some hogs. So I think we're going to try to cook some wild boar. It's something I've only cooked the wild game butcher stuff. Gamekeeper Butchery wild hog.
So y'all are cooking wild boar.
Yeah. Whatever we shoot. Well, see, okay, now, when you say it's not like our Mississippi wild hogs, these things, they're on ranches, but these ranches feed protein and corn to all the deer and other animals they have on these ranches. Well, those hogs come in and run those animals off, and they eat all the feed around the feeders. So these are feeder hogs. They've been eating corn. They've been eating protein pellets. I'm expecting them to taste a lot better than just, say, the river bottom hogs like we get here that I really don't care about.
Are they a nuisance over there? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. They're nuisance wherever they are. I mean, they tear up so much stuff. But yeah, so that's what it is. This is a content thing with another company that's doing some stuff in the hunting blinds, and I think they make feeders, and we've got some other companies coming in with some thermal optics we're going to be using to shoot some of these hogs. And it's going to be fun, but I'm getting to do some cooking and going to get some cooking content. And there's some other like YouTube or TikTok guys that are going to be doing some stuff. So it's going to be fun. As long as I don't get bit by a rattlesnake or a tick, I'll be happy. I don't need one of those, the Lone Star tick bites where I can't eat meat anymore, but I'm taking a bunch of bug dope. Keep them off of me.
I think now would be a good time for us to pay a bill.
All right. The How to Barbecue Right podcast is brought to you by our friends at Primo Grills. Shell, did you know that Primo is the only ceramic grill made right here in the good old USA?
What? Are you telling me that Primo Grills are proudly crafted here in the USA, ensuring top-notch quality and support for local craftsmanship?
I sure am. Plus, Primo Grill not only delivers mouth-watering flavor, but because of their innovative oval design and superior ceramic construction, Primo Grills also gives you a ton of cooking versatility.
Whether you're smoking low and slow or searing a steak to perfection, Primo Grills gives you the consistent heat distribution for mouth-watering results every time.
What she said, y'all. Y'all visit primogrill.com and check them out. But so I've got some different stuff I'm going to be cooking over there. We took that chorizo. We're going to do some quesadillas. We're going to do some Mexican kind of style pulled pork for tacos. So that's what I'm thinking with these, if we get some wild boars, I'm sure they'll quarter it up. It probably won't be whole wild boars we're cooking, but we're going to take some marinades and different things and marinate some of that meat, smoke it to where we can pull it and make tacos, grill up a bunch of that elk and the bison, and take some of that wild boar and wrap some of that, cut up some of that stuff, marinate it and wrap it in the wild boar. So we're going to have some pretty cool stuff that we're doing. We're probably going to have to incorporate some blue plate on them quesadillas. That's one of my favorite ways to make quesadillas. So we've got one of these little, man, it's probably one of the little baddest Blackstones they got. It's like a little 17-inch travel model, but it heats so good from edge to edge. And if you're one of these people that likes to go out and cook, like at tailgates, when you're camping or hunting somewhere or wherever, just out and about, not at home, even at home, it's a great little countertop one.
Mark keeps it in his barbecue trailer.
For burgers, for anything like that, it's great. So we're going to take that chorizo, 17-inch, I think is what it is.
What's the price point on that?
Oh, I think I bought one for like $200. They take the little green camping bottles, or you can get a nozzle that goes on it to hook up to a big bottle. But those little green bottles run for, a long time. You're going to get 2 cooks out of it, if you're doing something, and they're cheap. So I just think it's handy. And what I like about it is the burner under it kind of runs down the middle and it's a little wider. So that whole cooking surface on the griddle heats up good. There's no like bad spots on it. It's not like one of the 3 or 4 burner ones where you've got some areas that don't get as hot as others, which that's fine too on a big one because you always need a cooler zone. But it works perfect. And it comes with a little cover. I bought it at Walmart. Like I want to say I paid like $189. It was pretty cheap that's
the cheapest tailgate camping grill I've
anyway, man, you can use it for everything, but it makes excellent quesadillas. You take some blue plate, you use that as your oil, and then you brush a little on your tortilla and you put it down, put cheese on it, and you already have your chorizo good, pile it up on it and fold it and do it like a grilled cheese. Man, it gets crunchy. The blue plate kind of browns up that tortilla. It just makes an excellent, excellent quesadilla. We're going to take some, salsa and probably make some fresh pico and guac. That's what we're going to serve that with.
You could probably do that for like a breakfast quesadilla too.
Yeah, definitely. Eggs and chorizo, maybe some potatoes, and then put it in a big tortilla like that. Either make a grilled flat top burrito or a quesadilla.
I bet that would really good. Great for breakfast.
That's what I use them more for than anything. Well, smash burgers too.
Yeah, smash
burgers.
But
I like fried rice. I like making my own fried rice. I mean,
I like the brats on them, or when they're doing the sausage and the peppers and stuff, like they do at, stadiums
Italian sausage,
and stuff. Yeah.
Italian sausage and peppers.
Because it gets a little crust on the outside.
It's hard to beat.
Last week we dropped a video where we did coleslaw for a crowd.
Yeah, it
has like 1 million views.
Isn't that crazy? For a stinking coleslaw recipe that we didn't even chop anything. Because this is like...
That's what people want.
Cheat code coleslaw. That's what you should have called it. Cheat code coleslaw.
Well, it makes a lot.
Yeah.
Too.
So, and then people said, because we put on there, I said, we're making it for 300. Yeah, I didn't show you the 8 other batches of it we had to make. That was one bag. And how many people do you think one bag would
I think
feed?
we estimate it's 50.
50 in one bag? Yeah.
40 to 50.
I would think
depending
so.
on how
well,
much
that's why we were trying to feed 300. So we did 8 bags. That's You're right.
Yeah.
Is that right? 50 times 8? That's 400. We gave them overslaw.
We always do.
Yeah. But let me tell you, the cheat code, easy. If you got to do coleslaw for a crowd.
First of all, you didn't even want to make this video. You were like, nobody cares.
Nobody wants to see me put coleslaw in a big giant bag. Or I'm not even doing anything. But little did I know. I mean, I was sweaty and hot, and we've been cooking all that stuff. And he was like, film this just in our kitchen at home. And I was like, all right. And it got 1 million views. Isn't that crazy? And it's doing good. Like you loaded it to YouTube Shorts, and it's doing good there too. I just happened to look this morning. It come across my thing. I was like, dang.
I hadn't looked to see what it's doing on YouTube, but it's got 1 million on TikTok.
We didn't even use any blue plate in it.
I know. That's the one downfall to that.
You wish you would have done.
See,
you don't have to. You don't have to.
If you're making coleslaw for a small gathering, if we're having, a couple people over or whatever, we're going to make a coleslaw. Yeah. We're going to get our bag, make a dressing, make a coleslaw. We started doing this recipe at Memphis in May, I think, because we were having to cater. You can't. It's
when you're feeding several hundred people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stirring and sauce to make up and bags of cabbage to open. This way is just easy.
And we started buying the coleslaw in a tub like you get at Sam's, but it's so runny and so
nasty.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like it. It has a minerally taste to me. There's something about that any kind of prepared salad. It's very hard to find a decent one.
Yeah.
Now, Super Low makes a in-house coleslaw.
But you got some nice little Christian ladies back there making that one.
Sweet slaw. They call it sweet slaw. It's like Sunday sweet slaw. I was like, yeah, this fried chicken. It's a clone of KFC's back when KFC slaw was good.
Yes.
But that's what it is. And but you can't afford to buy that much for $300. You'd blow your budget out. And that was the one thing, like, this is cheap. You buy
cheap enough, yeah.
Cheap enough. You buy 2 bags of the large shredded
it's 2
slaw.
pounds.
Each bag's 2 pounds. So it's 4 pounds of shredded coleslaw mix, which is all it is cabbage and a little purple like radicchio and a little carrot. We call it dry slaw before you mix anything with it. And then you buy the 5-pound tub. Is it Members Mark brand, or do you know what even brand it is? It's whatever. They don't sell but one.
Yeah, it's only the one.
And it comes in a tub, and it's over in the refrigerated section. So you buy that. That by itself is not good slaw. Don't serve that to nobody. You're going to have a tub of it left over.
You really do.
But then Kroger, and I guess most grocery stores sell it, or they do in the South anyway. It's this little packet, a seasoning packet called cold slaw seasoning. And I really don't know what it is. I've never tasted it by itself. Imagine it's
salt and sugar and
celery seed,
a lot of celery,
maybe some pepper and stuff, because it still needs salt and pepper to me. I feel like
that's optional. But
because you don't know if some people are salt tolerant or what, or heat tolerant, so we usually don't. But this is the perfect seasoning for it. So it takes that mid at best prepared coleslaw, and you dump it in a bag with 4 pounds of the shredded, and that's your mayonnaise element. That's your sauce element. You don't need any more. And then you dump 2 packets of that slaw seasoning in there, 1 packet per 2 pounds of the dry slaw. And you just you don't even mix it up then.
I just throw it.
You put it in one of our big meat bags, and usually it goes in a cooler because we're going to an event. But at the house, we did it. Did we do it the night before or that morning?
We did it that morning.
Because we had till like 6 o'clock to serve. That was the first thing we did that morning. We put it just in the refrigerator. And then like an hour later, you go back and just kind of toss it in the bag. You don't unzip the bag. You don't stir nothing. You don't get your hands dirty at all. You're just kind of shuffling it around and mixing it up, and you stick it back in the fridge.
Let it go another hour. Usually 2 hours is good.
And it's ready to serve. And it's not like a super wet slaw. Like, a lot of times you make coleslaw and it just starts pulling all that moisture out and it gets real watery and runny.
I mean, it's wet enough.
It's super wet. No, it's perfect. It is the perfect combination of amount of like a mayo slaw dressing to the amount of cabbage in there. And it does something to the other cabbage where it doesn't have that minerally taste anymore, or metallic taste.
It's pretty good.
I tasted some of it and I was like, man, this is worth it. Because we've been doing it a long time and we don't do it all the time. So I don't remember how good it is, but it's really good slaw. It really is. People ask for that recipe, believe it or not. That's the crazy thing to me. Because you're not going to believe me.
This coleslaw is delicious. We did it for
how do you do this slaw?
We did it for like a teacher appreciation.
Yeah,
and all the teachers were.
They didn't ask about the barbecue. Like, best barbecue you possibly could. I mean, like, cook.
That barbecue was fire.
Yeah. And they want to make, how do you make that slaw? Well, you got to go to 3 stores.
Just 2.
2? Yeah, I guess Sam's and Kroger. Yeah.
Sam's and Kroger.
Super Low has those packets too.
Yeah,
a lot of independent chains will have them. But I think that's probably a Southern thing. I don't know.
You could probably make your own the seasoning part. You could
season it with whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably do some sugar, some salt, pepper, celery,
But if you need to feed a bunch of people slaw, that's the way to do it.
Well, we started, like you said, you don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to touch anything. So when you're out at like a contest or you're catering or something like that.
Do you think you could you could just say 2 to 1 shredded dry slaw to the wet? Because what if you made it 10 pounds? Because right now it's 8. But
you're saying
because it's 8 pounds to 5 pounds. Could you do 10 pounds to 5 pounds? So it'd be a 2 to 1 ratio, and it work?
I don't know. I think it'd be too dry.
You'd have to add some mayo then.
Yeah, you might have to add some mayo then. I don't know.
I was just trying to think of a way to cut it down if somebody wanted to try it without making 10 pounds of slaw.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because each batch is pretty much 10 pounds. No,
then it's going to be too runny.
If you add too much. Yeah, because you can't use like one bag and then half. I guess you could try.
Yeah, you could do half.
2.5 pounds of prepared.
And then what are you going to do with 2.5 pounds of that leftover?
Throw it away. Because it's cheap too. I think that tub of 5 pounds of slaw is only like,
it's $4.
yeah, $5. Yeah. And the bags of the shredded are only $4 or $5. So you've only got about, let's see, 8, 13, less than $15 in 10 pounds of coleslaw.
Which
to feed
pretty good.
To feed probably 50. So
for the ease of it.
Yeah.
And the effort, yeah.
It's a great fast catering barbecue side. And if you wanted to doctor it up when you pan it. You know, that would be good.
Try it then, see if you want to add salt.
But you could add a lot of times I like to put thinly sliced like sugared onion in my coleslaw or a little pickled
you like
relish.
green onion.
Yeah, I like green onion in it. So you could add, if you wanted to add all that, it's going to make your cost go up if you're doing this from a cost perspective. But if you're doing it, you know, you want something better that tastes better, that makes it a little more your own, add some other stuff to it.
You could
that's
add
just
pineapple?
The base. Yeah, you could turn that. Yeah, you could turn that into like a
tropical type slaw.
Easy, real easy.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
I did the bone pulling too. Did we talk about that last week?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we released that video.
How you pull pork?
They come with pullers. If you didn't know, if you cook it right, you can pull it with the bone that came with it.
That's the important part. It's got to be tender.
Yeah, and they're gonna do it with the one that you got to chop. Yeah, I did see someone ask a question about wanting to see how I would chop a pork butt. And I don't know if I've ever
use a cleaver.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever done it because we don't know. You know, it's not really our thing. I'm a pull guy.
I like the texture of pulled over chopped.
But I hadn't done it in a long time. I hadn't had a chopped barbecue sandwich. I couldn't tell you when. So it might be something to do. When I think of that, I almost think of a picnic shoulder. Do a picnic and then chop it, kind of Carolina style, you know, because that's one of the big differences of where our style of barbecue versus, say, Carolina style is they'll cook whole pigs. Now, often it was like some places still do like half pigs, and then most of them are doing shoulders or butts now. But they chop it all up and they mix it with like a thin vinegary sauce, and they serve it with like either a mustardy slaw or a red kind of ketchup-y slaw. And I hadn't done one of those recipes in a long time. Like
that'd be good, because that sounds good. I like the idea of mixing it with the vinegar. I love that.
Tossing the meat with the vinegar and some salt. I mean, that's all it needs, and a little, you know, cayenne pepper to give it some heat. But that's when I think of chopped barbecue, that's the style of barbecue I think of. You see it, they either put it on a sandwich or they give you like a little boat of that chopped meat and a boat of slaw and a boat of, I guess, whatever else. And you know what else? Hush puppies. That's unique. Goes with barbecue. Nobody I know in Mississippi serves hush puppies with barbecue.
But they're hush
puppies.
You
do with fish. I don't care if it's catfish, brim, crappie, bass, whatever. It's served with hush puppies.
But ours are round. Theirs are kind of like
thumb size.
Yeah.
What shape would you call that? Oblong. Yeah, it's almost like a curd, like a cheese curd shape.
I've actually never had Carolina style hush puppies before.
I hadn't either. I've never had barbecue over there in a restaurant. It's on our bucket list to go do.
We were going to try to go to at the end of summer.
Yeah,
make a trip and go to hit up those spots. But
all of a sudden, you filled our schedule up to November.
I filled it up. You're the one that says yes to everything. Neither one of us could say no.
Yeah, I'm not good at saying no.
Well, it sounds so good, and then we put it on the schedule, and then
of course I want to go to the World Squirrel Cook-Off again. I mean, I absolutely do. I'm going to.
Exactly.
But it's on schedule. That's one for y'all to put on a far radar. If you've never been anywhere, you haven't been anywhere. I don't care if you've been to the World's Fair. You ain't never been to the World Squirrel Cook-Off. Got to try that one.
So I got some questions from the community for you.
Let's fire them.
So Herman has looking for help with his tough ribs, which I feel like is a common problem, especially when people are starting out and stuff.
Yep.
So
two things. If your ribs are tough, get you an internal thermometer where you can use that until you get them down to where you can get them to the target temperature, because those ribs need to go. Yeah, those ribs need to go to, you want them 202 internal, between 202 and 208. They're going to be perfect. They're going to be tender. You go past 208, you're going to get some fall off the bone ribs. But get a probe thermometer Like the ThermalWorks Dot is a cheap one. They're, I think sometimes they run them on sale for $25, but it's it's all it does is internal temperature. When you wrap your ribs, slide one of those probes between the two bones. Make sure you're, in between the meat. Don't get on
when
the
you
bone.
wrap your ribs.
Yeah, when you wrap them and then wrap them up.
First, you got to cook them to color instead.
Yeah. First, you got to cook them to color, but most time people are getting the color and stuff right. It's how far to take them or when they're done, because a lot of times they're saying, okay, well, these ribs ought to go 2 hours and then wrap for an hour and they're take them off and they're done.
Exactly.
You can't just do that. Not till you get to cooking them down. Don't follow just time. Never cook just by time. Always cook the internal temp. That'll get you better to knowing the texture you're looking for, the doneness you want. Now, once you get them there, the second thing, once you learn to cook the temp, I'm telling you, ribs are the best when they've rested for at least an hour. And before you glaze them, before you ever unwrap them and take the probe out, before you open the package and check them. Like if they're wrapped up and they got a probe in them and they're 202 to 204, right in that range, take them off. You can vent them a little bit if you want to, depending on how hot it is outside or how many you're trying to put in the cooler. But like those little party stackers that we use, they'll hold 6, or usually don't have to vent them too much. We usually just stick them in there and then shut the lid. Now, you don't want them in something that's so airtight it's going to keep all the heat in.
That's what.
If you do, come back and burp them. And burp them just means let some fresh air in, let some heat out. That's all a burp is. Just open it up, 2 seconds, close it back down.
That was a mistake Tyler made. He put his ribs in a airtight Yeti. And it wasn't burping them.
And it's just steady cooking. You put all that heat in there, a lot of it,
And they just overcook.
But that's the next thing that'll get your tenderness right, is letting those ribs rest. And then when you take them out, drain off all the liquid that's in the wrap. You can carefully put them back on the pit, season them with a little seasoning so they get their color back, and then glaze them if you want to have a sweet, saucy rib. If you like them dry, just hit them with that dry rub, let them dry out a little bit, and then they're ready to go, and they ought to be perfect. That ought to be perfect. That'll change your rib game. Once you learn to cook them to an internal temperature and then rest them a little bit, your ribs are going to go straight up.
I think everybody's grill's going to cook a little different.
They do.
So once you learn, then you can have time as a guideline.
Yeah.
Once you've established how long it's going to take your grill to get those ribs to
the tenderness you want, then all of a sudden
then
is 3-2-1 a good method for cooking ribs?
No,
I don't think so. That was an old school cooking at 225 method that people did. But you slowed them down at the beginning and you got your color on them and then you wrapped them for 2 whole hours. We never wrap ribs for 2 hours anymore. They would be nuked. There would be just bones and meat if you did that. Usually it's about an hour to an hour 15 is the sweet spot, but sometimes it does go an hour 30. Sometimes it does go an hour 45. Just depends on the thickness of the ribs, what the grill's doing that day, what the weather. There's a lot of factors, but I always know, we got to, where they should be when we're checking internal temperature. I don't like to go back in that full wrap because it never fails when something's wrapped and it should be done and you go in it to open it and it's not done. It's so hard to recover, to get it to come back up after you open it and let off all that heat. It's just hard.
Well, you knock it back.
You can. Sometimes you ain't got a choice. You just got to keep going, but a lot of times they won't get there.
You stop that forward motion.
Yeah, you stopped it. You put a halt to it. So it's got to get back going, build it back up.
This one kind of goes along with it. Greg's doing a church rib cook-off, and he just wants to know where should he get his ribs from. Should he just go to Kroger or?
I would go, I'd probably make a couple stops. I'd look for something, one that was fresh, not froze, if you can find it. So when you go to Sam's or you go to Costco, you're getting fresh, not froze pork. Most of the time, all the pork is, as far as I know. But like when you go to Kroger, a lot of times their ribs have been froze and have been out in that center aisle. And as they thaw in that, they'll move them back over to the little wall meat aisle. And so those ribs weren't fresh. A lot of times you can look at the pack. If it's got if you're buying a thawed out rib and there's a ton of moisture in there, well, those ribs are froze. I just think that a fresh, not frozen pork product is way better than a frozen one. I've cooked a bunch of them froze. It doesn't make much of a difference.
Frozen all the
time. But I had rather, if I'm going to contest, I am trying not to cook froze pork. I'm trying my best to find some that was fresh, not froze. The brand that I know everybody's cooking now is Prairie Fresh. If you can find those Prairie Fresh ribs, the Prime is the best. But Super Low sells just Prairie Fresh Premium or whatever it is. It's like the mid grade pork. I see them there. But if you've got a butcher, oftentimes they're getting them. So we've got a butcher now that's getting Prairie Fresh. I know Melissa has them up at her store in South Haven. They're selling Prairie Fresh. So there's places you can find them. I mean, I've cooked a ton of ribs from Walmart and Kroger. I mean, Sam's has great meat. Costco has great ribs. So it really just depends. But I like to look through a bin that has a lot to choose from. If I go in there and they've only got 4 racks of ribs and I don't want to be saying, I got to buy those. I don't have nothing to look at to compare them to. I'm looking for straight bones, even thickness, not too much fat. I kind of want the marbling, if you look through the Cryovac and it's solid white with fat all on top, I'm probably not going to pick those ribs. Because I know I'm going to trim some of it off, and that's going to cause shiners. I'm going to have to make divots in the rib.
They're not going to be a prettier.
Yeah, it's not going to cook as even. So it's, there's some things you look for.
So I thought this was a great question. Will, he's cooking barbecue for 50 people. And his go-to for cooking a crowd is pulled pork.
Yeah.
People he's cooking for don't like pulled pork. Any ideas?
I like pork at all. Because, pulled chicken's excellent.
That was what I was fixing to say.
When I think of
chicken.
So when I think of doing a catering job for something, no matter what the people, I like to give them 2 choices of meat. And usually it's going to be pork, and then it's either going to be chicken or it's going to be beef. Beef is going to be more expensive. I've done pulled chickens.
Pulled chickens. Every time I've done pulled chickens for,
people love it.
Love it. And if you're doing for 50 people, you could do 2 different styles. You could do one that's just barbecue and you serve it with a regular slaw, a white barbecue sauce maybe, and a regular barbecue sauce, and then do maybe a tropical, or
whatever.
Yeah. Do a pineapple coleslaw and a Hawaiian sauce to go with it.
We did that for the banquet.
Oh yeah. People love pulled chickens. And you can do slider.
There's a lot of times I think you're like,
bun.
Most of your women, they're going to like the chicken.
Yes,
I've noticed that when we do events. And then the men, they'll gravitate towards the pork or the beef or something like that. But usually women are looking for a chicken option. I guess they associate it with being healthy. They don't know all the stuff we put on.
I think they just prefer it.
You think so?
Yeah. Because, the red meats are heavier and, the pork's fattier. And now I had another suggestion. And I'm not going to say that we've ever done this several times. But Sam sells a pre-cooked brisket that's pre-sliced.
What are those called?
Saddlers. And they're not too expensive.
And if you can't cook brisket, it's a good option.
Well, he's limited on space.
Yeah. Because all you do is warm it up. It's already cooked.
Warm it up on the smoker.
I've had people ask, how did you cook this brisket? Where'd you get this? I said, man, I didn't have time to cook brisket. We bought that stuff and warmed it up. People go crazy. Eat all of it.
It's happened to people.
Well, we started getting it because we were going to weddings. And I was like, what are these people doing for brisket? How are they? I know they're not slicing this and cooking this perfect. What are they doing?
Because it's perfect.
So I asked this lady one time, she said, that's Sadler brisket from Sam's. I was like, what do you mean Sadler brisket? It's like, yeah, it's already cooked. I was like, what?
But we would put it on, heat it up in the smoker. So it got a little of that.
For serving a crowd, it's fine. If you know, you could definitely tell that is not like fresh cooked brisket. But
if you're serving a crowd,
or a wedding or something like that,
it's perfect.
Birthday party.
It's good.
Church, it's good. That's all right. I'd cook a brisket. If you don't know what you're doing, that's a good option. I was thinking like pork loin.
Yeah,
pork loin feeds a crowd. It's not too expensive for catering. Everybody likes pork loin. That's a good option. That's a good option.
And there's a bunch of stuff you can do with pork loin. You make sliders, sandwiches.
Barn-house chicken. I don't know how many times I've catered that and just took, several pounds of it and had a grill ready and grilled it right there hot and fast and put it in pans and set it right out to serve. And people like, what is this? And they're crazy. And all it is boneless, skinless thighs marinated, grilled, and sauced. That's super easy. So that's a good option.
Yeah, that's true. Catering. And you could keep it whole and serve it just as barbecue chicken, or you can chop it and use it for tacos, sandwiches.
I wouldn't be scared to do any of that.
Even
individual pieces of chickens is tough. I wouldn't do Sadlers. You might.
I would do Sadlers in a minute.
I hadn't had that brisket in 15 years probably. When's the last time you had Sadler brisket?
The last time we did a wedding a long time ago. This has probably been 10 years ago.
It's been longer than that.
I don't even think Michael was born, so. Wow.
It's been 15 years. It's been a long time.
You just don't want people to know you cooked Sadler's brisket.
I don't care. I wasn't brisket cook back then. Last time we did it.
Somebody wants to know what's a good rib mount.
Oh, I got a great one. I use a bottle of zesty Italian dressing and strain it, and then fill that bottle up with hot water, add a 1/4 cup of barbecue rub, and then like a cap off the bottle of Worcestershire and soy sauce. Whisk all that up and then mop it. And man, it makes a good mop. I call it my barbecue mop. I've been using, that was an old school, using cooked ribs and shoulders and hog.
It's good too.
It's really good. Yeah. It's kind of a barbecue vinaigrette, but it's not sweet. I mean, I guess, does the Italian dressing have some sugar? I mean, it might have a little, but there ain't much. It's not much sugar to it. It's mainly oil and vinegar.
It does have
with barbecue, but see, since you put the
chunks.
barbecue rub in it, it has some sugar, so it's not, but it's not gonna burn up on it. That's why I strain it, because it's got so much vegetable in Italian dressing. It's mainly minced garlic and pepper, red pepper, I would imagine. But it's good. That's a quick mop and it's easy.
One more question for you, and then I'll let you go. So, wife's birthday is on Memorial Day weekend, so they always do a big blowout. They know what they're cooking. They got country style ribs, chuck roast. They're looking for drink recipes.
Oh, the Bullfrog.
That's what I said. That's
Hands down. That's the one that's the party drink of the summer. It'll get you hopping.
How do you make Bullfrog? Well,
oh,
we argue about the recipe
every
all the
time. It's vodka, lemonade concentrate, limeade concentrate, and Sprite, and then sliced up fruit. That's all it is. So the amount of how strong vodka?
How strong? Yeah, that's the question.
The original recipe was 1 liter of vodka, 1 can of lemonade. Like you're gonna make a frozen lemonade concentrate. It's over with the frozen juice stuff. 1 of those and 1 limeade, 1 each. 1 liter of vodka and 3 liters of Sprite. That's the original recipe. But you can't find 3 liters of Sprite anymore. So if you buy a 2 liter, you're going to buy 2 and pour out half. No, if you put both 2 liters in, it's too weak. So what I started doing, 1/2 gallon of vodka, 2 lemonades, 2 Sprite, 2 limeades, and then 3 2 liters. So it's 6 liters. That's a big batch.
But it usually gets drank.
There's never any left. Now, usually there might be some people spending the night on the lawn chairs, but there's usually none left. Because when you make this, and then I take lemons and limes.
Oh, yeah. That makes it pretty.
Slice it up, and those float in there. And this, you will swear that there's nothing in it. Nothing in it.
And on a hot day, you're outside.
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
It'll get you. That's a lot of vodka in there.
We've affected a lot of people's lives with that Bullfrog recipe.
Bullfrog, yeah. It's good stuff. We're going to be making some. Where are we going to make some from? Mark.
Our Memorial Day event.
Yeah. Is that Mark's the weekend?
Yeah,
We're
Mark's
doing
cook.
The Outlaw Fest or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an invite only?
Yeah.
Mark don't want 1,000 people showing up at his place. If we give out his address on here, that'd be wrong. Might not ought to do that.
Well, Malc, that's all I have for you today.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. Shell, where can everybody find us that doesn't already know?
If you'd like to join our community, it's the Let's Get to Cookin community on Facebook. Sounds like I've already had some Bullfrog today. But
is that what's in the Stanley?
We love to get questions. That's where we get a lot of ideas for the podcast. So join, jump on, ask whatever questions you want. If you'd like to connect with Malcolm, it's HowToBBQRight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and of course YouTube. If you'd like to connect with me, it's Miss Southern Shell on Instagram and TikTok.
And if y'all want to see something very interesting, go watch the Buck Junkies video on TikTok where Mark shreds a chub of bologna on a cheese grater and then cooks it on a flat top and makes a faux pulled bologna sandwich.
It's not really faux.
It's not. It's real. I had it. Shredded bologna.
I thought it was a good recipe.
Cooked on a flat top.
It's unusual.
It's very unusual, but it's on Buck Junkies TikTok. So y'all go check that out.
I think it's on the YouTube too.
Is it on the YouTube?
Yeah, there's a long
there's a long form on the YouTube. Yeah, Buck Junkie.
Yeah, but he takes a chub of bologna, grates it with a cheese grater, and then essentially
it's like bologna hash. If you kind of think of how hash is.
But you know how, like, when you cook a bologna sandwich, you want the
crispiness.
Yeah, the crispiness.
Yeah. It does it. And I'm going to tell you, I ate one.
What'd you think?
It's not bad at all.
He puts coleslaw on it.
Coleslaw and blue plate. And it's got potential. I could see cheese on it. I could see it for breakfast. I could see shredded bologna. They may start selling shredded bologna in a bag. He might have started a trend on different ways to do bologna. Shredded bologna. I never would have. I don't know, man. It's different.
I thought it was a good idea.
It's pretty good.
And then he sauced it while it was still in the griddle, so you got the caramelization going.
You got to watch the salt. Bologna's a little salty.
Yeah.
But it looked a little like pulled pork. Anyway, y'all go check that out. And we will see y'all next time. We appreciate you hanging out with us here today. We'll be back. We gone.